I have a question. So when it comes to pronouns, I'm sure we all agree they're important. We should respect each other's pronouns, chosen pronouns.
To an extent.
Do you feel like, to some extent, this whole pronoun thing has been kind of like hijacked by weird white heterosexual women? And like, does a blatantly cishet 30-year-old white woman need to have she, her in her Instagram bio? Or is this just like the most retarded thing you've ever seen in your life?
I'll
It's retarded, dude.
Okay, thank you.
It's
Because
just as patronizing as seeing Black Lives Matter in someone's bio.
which
where
also is,
I'm like,
Hi, I know
unless you're going to marches, just don't
That's
put that in
right.
your
I don't know if we
bio.
can pull this up. I don't know if that's asking the editors too much, but this is a trans lesbian on Tinder. It's a man with full
Ren.
chest hair, full beard, and this is what lesbians deal with on Tinder. And this person's
Did
she,
you top
her.
or bottom?
Huh?
Did you top or bottom?
I was not. I didn't
I'm
encounter this person on
kidding.
Tinder. But that's what you mean, right? It's like, come on, it's like just straight men hijacking what used to be just like basic respect for trans people. Because the reality is, like, I remember even like way before I transitioned, I would go to the grocery store, and this is when I had short hair, no hormones, no anything, and I would get called she at the cash register sometimes because just my energy, I guess. So it's like people used to just respect hormones. Pronouns on like a basic level. Like even if they could tell someone trans, they're like, they're trying, that's a she. Whereas now it's like you could literally announce she, her tomorrow, and a big percentage of people following you will be like, I have to respect that.
I don't think my fans so much,
would.
but
They're not your fans.
if I was maybe a little bit in
They're
a
not
different
your fans.
space, maybe, yeah.
I mean,
You should try it.
I'm sure you all were around
Let's
during
transition Adam. Let's sissifiy Adam 22, y'all.
That could be the bonus
Who's
content.
got the stockings and the wig in the car?
That'll
be
I know
the
one of you
OnlyFans.
girls do. Let's
It's
go.
me, I have it.
There we go. Yes! Adam, you ready?
Oh my God.
I've
No,
got some size
not at this
13
time.
shoes.
Maybe after the wedding.
Okay.
Okay, we got a few months.
Fair enough.
I'm sure you've all been around during the scene age when everyone was calling themselves bisexual. We're having a resurgence of that where people are wanting to be edgy, and the new edgy is being kinky, poly, and trans,
Non-binary.
or
It's
being trans or
bullshit.
non-binary.
Thank you.
And in all of these cases, regardless of whether it's trans, kink, or polyamory, they're all being toxic in every one of those communities and kind of blowing up all of those communities.
I'm so glad we agree on that because that's
right.
like one of the biggest things I get hate for is that this word is even disgusting because it's just such a reach. NB-phobic, which is like phobic against non-binary.
Weren't you
people.
non-binary at one point?
No, I never. No, back in the
Do
day.
you believe non-binary people
there's-
exist?
Exist. They are human beings that exist, and then they call themselves that.
Have
so
you
they
met someone who
exist.
you truly believe to be non-binary? That's my question.
Mm.
I have. I've met many people who I truly believe they're
But what
very
makes them
androgynous.
non-binary?
But
Well, if they're just very androgynous, and to be honest with you, it could go either way. And
Are we
I'm
trying
being
to
real.
ignore indigenous identities
There's a
from
lot of
before
people who do fit in
colonization?
between. I'm not
Well,
saying
non-binary
I
isn't
agree with you on the
indigenous.
like
And
total domination of like
here,
Yes, it is.
people just wanting
No,
to be queer. You know,
That's not non-binary did not come. That's called.
It's a different word for it.
That's right.
the word non-binary.
But
if you
non-binary
search
did
on
not
Google
come from the
Trends,
indigenous
started
But
in literally
fafafine
2014.
and katoy and all that other stuff
That's
is
different. That's not non-binary. Non-binary is a choice these people make within the indigenous community. That's a whole other situation.
you
We're
have
talking
to
about
have
white
met
people
people.
taking on.
But we're making a
non-binary.
choice to transition. We
answer
could
that.
have chosen.
But non-binary
I
is
know
a
what I'm talking about
choice.
here.
I know what
That's
you're
a
talking
choice.
about, and because I was
They exist.
right, and when I was a teenager, before like there's
They
even
deserve
words for
respect,
this
too.
shit. It's like you can Google old pictures of Blair White. I literally look like one of these fucking people. I had a fucking purple mullet. It was a nightmare. But like I was
won't.
never
I'll spare
this
you that
like
one.
weird hyper political. I was never like I'm trans. Like I don't like that they speak over us. You know what I mean? It's like these people are
Me
usually
neither.
the most mentally ill, crazy, and aggressive, and they
No,
become
that's
the
me, I promise.
voices. Maybe, but they tend to make the rules for the community because they're the fucking loudest.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I'm never quiet to shut them up because I agree with you on that. However, I do think there are still people that don't really fall in female or male categories. Like, I'm not talking about biology. I'm just talking about vibes.
Well, gender fluid is an old
Style,
thing. It's like fucking
I
what's
don't
his
know. I
name?
just
Yeah.
feel- I'm not gonna sit here and tell you who you are. I
Of
just
course.
don't give a fuck. Like,
But the
if
problem is
peop-
they tell us who they
That's
are.
right.
They say that they're trans,
That's right.
and then they want to be included in the
Right.
conversation when
Yeah.
we're just trying to clearly
I
get
will
the
include them in
conversation
the
together.
conversation, but I
I
want to
don't.
lead it. To
I
be
don't.
honest with you, I want to be a leader of the conversation as a trans woman because I've been
But
through.
they don't want to let you.
But I don't have the
Well,
same
some of them
experience
do.
as a
I have a lot of
non-binary.
maybe
It's a
individual
completely
people,
different
but on the grand
experience.
scheme of how the
I have
politics.
But
non-binary friends in my
that
personal
depends
life,
because
not
there
Right,
are
and there's no
YouTuber
hate to
people.
them.
there
but
are
it's like-
non-binary people that get surgeries. They may just not get the same prescribed set that trans women or trans
It's
men
still
use
not my
look
same
at.
cool, but I think that
experience.
that's
No,
different.
It's not.
yeah,
It's not
it's not my
definitely.
same-
But
That's
it's
why am
different,
I
though.
lumped
some
in
of
with
it
that?
can
But
I don't
parallel
know.
more than you would think.
I get what you're saying because I've seen that, but the
Yeah.
idea that they should be included in trans,
That's
I
right.
think is an
Well,
issue.
here's something I think is also important to note, though, is here's the deal. If it say, you know, fucking extremist right-wing people who are just mad homophobic, transphobic, all of that come for us, they're coming for all of us, okay? They're not gonna fucking spare the non-binaries. They're not gonna spare the trans women or the trans men. They don't like any of us. So I guess I just feel like why set up all these fucking dividers
But
in,
you know
in our
what?
But
community?
you could probably
But you can
attest to
talk
that not
about-
being
but
true,
you can
right?
talk about extremes, and there's always extremes. Just
right.
like there's left-wing extremists that are fucking commies that go out and destroy buildings every fucking election year. However, the reality is, I think that there's a very large unspoken of majority that are totally cool with people who want to live their lives the way they live it, and they're cool with people like us. They're just not cool with, why are you allowing 12-year-olds to have their breasts cut off? Why are you trying to police speech? Why are you putting your dicks out in locker rooms? And that's why I'm like, can we just find our lane where we optimize respect in society and just stay in it and not try to bounce around?
Well, you're asking too much of human beings. I mean, we're all just so
maybe
fucking
it
different.
might be a utopian idea, but I
It
just
is a
feel
utopian
like,
idea.
But
I mean, we're all so different as people. Like,
but we
just
can get
are.
closer there than dudes in weed spot with their dicks out and no one caring. We can get closer to the utopia than like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
And-
realistic, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we might not fully
What's
always
realistic?
get
I'm
there.
sorry, I'm confused.
There's always going to be people that are like fuck trannies. Okay?
Oh yes, yeah, of course,
always.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
but
right.
But you
Yeah.
probably have
so
a
if
ton
there's
of
non-binary people who maybe they're claiming our experience, maybe that's fucked up. I agree, but
it's gross
they're
and it's
on-
just
I
incorrect.
don't like it either. But they're on our side, so let's just take a
Are
second.
they though?
No,
when
they're
they're the
not.
ones
I
that are
mean,
creating.
they're
Here's the
not.
thing: LGBT acceptance. That's every.
I'm
letter
also
and
not a
acronym.
YouTuber. I don't like sit there and listen to the masses. So you
I don't
guys
watch
prob-
YouTube despite being YouTube.
Well, no, I'm just saying like I don't get like critique from non-binary people ever. Like
Oh,
I
well,
don't-
they all fucking hate me, every single one.
I believe that. I'm
Um,
just saying I don't know like what they're telling you or what they're saying to you, so I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
well,
just saying in my life, like not very people like they'll listen to my experiences. They don't try to shut
well,
me
you can
down.
always
like-
meet individual people that are cool. I'm not saying everyone who identifies that way is a bad person. I'm not. I just don't like that's considered the same thing as us
Yeah.
because I think it takes away from us actually having the conversation about us and figuring out how we fit in society.
So
They can
let's have a
figure out how
conversation
they
about
fit.
us then.
Right. They
What's-
can figure out how they fit in society, and more power to them if they want to figure that out on their own terms. But we can't even agree on like really basic shit, like what age you can do this shit and what bathrooms and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let's get that sorted out, and then we can talk about dudes with beards talking about I'm trans because my pronouns are fucking they them. I don't care.
Right. I guess I just with ages, bathrooms and all that shit. It's like
Well, the bathroom thing's weird because it was like never an issue. nowadays.
It was never an issue.
it feels like
ever.
it's something that people will cling on to. It's another one of those like to make trans people look creepy. Like I feel like I
That's
only
right.
ever hear stories, either really extreme stories. They're like really leftist stories about how someone got kicked out of a bathroom for being trans, or it's like another super right wing story where it's like some creep was in the
We
fucking
are a
women's
political
bathroom.
football. We are bounced around from left to right, and we're used as a weapon, and we're used to raise money on this end, raise hysteria and money on this end, and it really fucking sucks. That's why, like I said, I know that you don't agree with necessarily the content that I make. I know you said you didn't watch a lot, but it's like to have someone who, even though people do consider me extreme, and you said I have Nazi fans, I'm actually very middle of the road. I'm actually I want all of us to have our rights. I want all of us to have respect, but I don't want dudes with dicks out in locker rooms because I think it makes us all look fucking bad. Here's the thought. The other day, I started a new gym. And I live in Texas where people say it's just so bad or whatever, but I live in Texas and I was going to the gym and like I had this thought and I've never had this thought in my fucking life. And it almost made me cry in public. I was walking to the bathroom and I was like, I hope no one here knows who I am, knows that I'm trans, and thinks that because I'm entering a fucking women's bathroom in Texas that I'm going in for some sort of nefarious reason. The fact that I have to think that way, or at least even have that thought, is a fucking problem. And it goes to
You
show
shouldn't
that
think about that, girl.
I shouldn't, but
Nobody's thinking that.
I know that. I know it's an irrational thought, but think about trans women that don't have the privilege to go into bathrooms and people notice or don't notice or whatever.
Is it inappropriate for you to be fully naked in the locker room?
Oh, fuck yeah. Are you
Okay.
kidding me? Like, no way.
So that's just the line with trans people. You think they should respect that?
That's one of the lines.
Okay.
Wait, you mean like if a woman has a penis, she has to wear a towel as opposed to a woman who doesn't have a penis?
I think it's inappropriate if you have a dick to be walking around with your dick out in a women's locker room with women, with
Girl,
grandmothers.
what doesn't mean
women.
you're gonna walk up to someone and whack it in their face? Like,
No
but
one
the
wants
locker
to
room
see
is
a
fucking
dick.
crazy. Like I'll
I mean,
just
I
say
don't
this
hang out in locker rooms.
as an adult male
gay shit.
in the
But,
gym, in the locker room, I've seen a ton of penises, and I've seen almost no penises my whole life, aside from like porn and stuff. So I will say that like the locker room is very unique because it's this place where it's normalized to just see each other's genitalia.
Yeah,
And
that's
you
why I
almost
feel like,
never do
why
otherwise.
Why draw the line at penises?
Because
it
you
makes
go in,
cisgender women
because
uncomfortable.
He sees
Not
a
all
lot
of
of
them.
dicks because he's going
The
in the
majority
men's
of them
locker
are
room.
No
uncomfortable.
way. I'm sorry,
Well,
but
I disagree
I'm sorry.
with
This
you.
is where trans women kind of get me fucked up and get like
No,
the
that's-
world fucked up. Is that we don't have sometimes that respect for biological women, that they are the vulnerable of the two sexes.
That's right.
And a lot of women are
you
not.
think I don't have respect for that? I have
No, I'm
a
not
lot
saying
of respect for
I'm not saying you
for
lack
cis women.
respect. I'm saying that trans women, I think, have sometimes a hard time understanding that a lot of biological women
That's right.
don't want to see dicks
That's right.
when they're out in public.
I
They
think a
don't
lot
wanna-
of cis women have a hard time understanding that trans women sometimes just want to like enjoy their day and not like worry about who the fuck is watching them.
If your way of enjoying your day is taking your dick out in a women's locker room, I think that that's a problem. I'm sorry. There's a lot of
I
ways
agree
I can
with
enjoy
that,
my
but
day.
I mean, I'm just
well, then
saying.
what's the?
At spas, people hang out fucking naked. It's normal. Like I've been naked at a spa before. I wasn't.
Everyone
trying,
should have
I
the same
wasn't trying to
genitals
be
in a
weird.
locker room. Sorry, just
I've
it's
been at
not
a
cool.
spa naked with other
So
women.
trans
There's a
women
lot of
should
women
be
that have
in
been raped.
danger.
There's a lot of
I
women
was
that have
at
been raped.
Okay, but I was
So
at a
trans
spa
women should be in
with
danger.
other women. Dick out.
From-
You're
they
not
had
putting
vaginas,
yourself in danger
no one
if you're not
cared.
taking your dick out in public.
Yeah.
No one
But
fucking
they're
cared.
saying
Of
if
course not. I was at
everyone
the spa, I
needs
was
to
chilling.
have dicks in the same
Who cares?
locker room.
No, she's
so-
saying trans women should not be taking their penis out in the locker
This
room.
is
That's
the
all she's
basic one,
saying.
y'all. This is the
So-
basic one. If you have a dick,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to be around
Yeah.
a bunch of grannies and mothers and children in locker rooms with your dick out. This is the basic one.
It's kind of like just being considerate for others.
That's
Being
right.
a
That's
human
Yeah,
being.
but-
exactly right.
yeah.
There's a lot of women that have been
But
raped
there
and
are,
have
like,
trauma that don't
nude
want to walk into a
faces,
room and
though.
see a dick.
Yeah, but
But
and let's
on the
be real,
flip
a
side
lot
of
trans
that,
women are not like us that have actually transitioned. A lot of trans women, like the wheat spa person,
Yeah.
has a beard and short hair and a dick and is like,
That's
I'm
right.
trans and gets
That's
away
right.
with it.
I just
That's
I don't
right.
want to like I'm not gonna sit here and not enjoy my life because of what the appendage between my legs. I personally don't give a fuck if it offends somebody else. I'm not doing anything nefarious with it. Like I'm
But
not.
there's
I have a feeling you're not, right? I feel like you're just going in the room, you're doing your thing.
I've only
but
done it
we're
once. I went
talking
to a
about
spa.
we're
It was a
talking
beautiful
about
moment. Nobody gave a fuck.
we're
We were all
talking about the
relaxing.
ones who are not
But a
passing,
lot of
who
people
are
would
totally
give a fuck
walking in
too.
and claiming to be trans women when they're clearly not trans women. They're dudes.
Well, then you're talking
who-
about
a
someone
lot.
completely different that's not trans. Like
But their claim, look, if they're going to say they're trans, now we have to respect that. That's the problem with what's going on, this self-ID. Anyone can say they're trans. You could say you're trans, my friend, which means nobody could stop you from going in the
Legally,
women's
you could, 'cause
locker
it goes
room.
by self-ID.
Now, on the flip side of that, we're not ever talking about trans men, are we? Are we talking about trans men in the male locker room? Ever. Do you ever hear that? Do you ever hear trans men in sports? Do you ever hear men having a problem with people like me? Why do you think
No.
that is?
A lot of let's just
Why?
be fucking real.
Let's be real here. Why do you
Trans
think?
women and trans men still went through that socialization as their
That's right.
biological sex.
That's
so a lot
right.
of these trans women are out here literally just acting like dudes and think that they
That's
can,
right.
not talking about you, go into locker rooms and whip their dick out. And
You can talk
everyone's
about me,
supposed to be
girl.
cool with
I
it.
don't
I'm
care.
really not. I'm
I
truly
know, I'm
not.
just fucking with you.
Like I'm talking about like
That was
it's
funny.
very predatory male behavior.
Yep.
Yeah,
Again, I swear I'm not talking about
I
you.
don't care.
But to whip your cock out in front of
Yep.
a bunch of women and think it's supposed to be okay.
That's right.
right. Usually they cheer when I do
It's
it.
kind of like, do you have any trans friends where they just stick their tits out all the time?
Right, and that's cool.
It's kind of like,
between
because kind
us.
of like for men, it's okay to be shirtless. So they like there are times where like I've taken my tits out randomly, and my husband's like, "See, that's the boy in you," because it's like a boy thing to do. But like cis girls would never just flash their tits, but
That's
because like we
right.
still have that boy mentality. For me,
That's
I'm kind of
real.
like,
I don't know.
I'm like, look at my
There's certain
tits, you
aspects
know?
that linger.
yeah. So it's kind of I get what you mean. Where it's kind of
Tits
like for them
out,
just walking with their
baby.
dicks out. It's kind of like that's like where the boy
But-
mentality is still a little bit there.
Yes.
But
But let's
also,
also
women
talk
feel
about-
women have a different experience. Men never complain of, I'm naked in the men's locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah.
No man has ever said a word to me about it. They stare, they're not sure.
What
Maybe
are you
I've
gonna do?
had a
I mean, it's
what?
what Blair
Because
said.
there's
Like,
a different
women are
social-
more vulnerable.
That's
out of the
right.
two
There's a
genders,
different
yeah.
socialization, and I
100%.
prove it
So
all the
then
time.
Us being trans women, if we know that, we should be more considerate.
That's right.
And that's,
That's
where
all.
it's at. But
That's
like,
all women are
if you're
saying.
kind of just like walking with your dick out, it's kind of
that's
like
right.
at that point, like I get
That's-
you're just trying to be yourself, but like be considerate,
That's
knowing
right.
like cis females, they are more sensitive to that.
That's exactly
And
right.
nothing's been taken away from my life by not using a locker room.
Yo, we just hit 400,000 subscribers right here on the Clips channel. So if you want to help us out, click subscribe, get us to 500K. Yeah.